Hello and welcome to Tech24. I'm your host, Rebecca Bowering. Coming up in the programme, getting tough on online piracy. Congress mulls powers to let copyright holders sue ISPs. But will the SOPA law break the internet as its opponents claim? Tech24 investigates. Fed up of all those remote controls gathering dust? Well, we'll tell you how to put your smartphone in the driving seat. The Stop Online Piracy Act is Congress's answer to copyright theft on the internet. Creative industries claim the circulation of pirated content online costs them $135 billion every year. So will the SOPA law hit the pirates where it hurts, or could genuine businesses end up losing out? Well, I'm pleased to say Eric Olander is back with us in the studio this week. Hi to you, Eric. Now, this act puts the onus on intermediaries to police piracy. How does that work?
This is a fundamental change in how the United States governs its internet policy. We've had an open system in the U.S. for a very, very long time, since the founding of the internet. Now what they want to do is they want to put gatekeepers at the internet service operators in the ISPs in order for them to monitor what kind of content passes through them. This has been the wish of the entertainment business for a long time. Now this is, of course, should sound familiar to people living in Iran, in China, and all sorts of other authoritarian countries where the gateways to the internet, those ISPs, are also where the checkpoints are, and some would call the choke points for content. Now, in the United States, we don't see too much political control coming onto the internet, but this SOPA Act is really a strong message for corporate control to filter out what content people can and cannot see.
So search engines as well in the frame, but are they already doing this? I mean, Google will stop me from accessing material that's pirated, that's flagged up as pirated.
Well, that's if the law passes, that would be in fact the case. What Google has already started to do is not stop you, but make it more difficult. You know, when you type into Google, they have that autofill function? Well, now they've removed some alleged pirate sites from that autofill function. And that's really a fundamental change for Google as well, because in fact, Google's original premise was to kind of bring all of the world's information without any judgment whatsoever under its umbrella. Now they're starting to play the role of judge, and people are starting to wonder, is Google going to be a neutral arbiter? Well, now Google, bear in mind, is a music company. Google is a video company. Google's getting into many of these same spaces that the entertainment companies who are trying to push these online piracy acts through Congress. So Google is instead now becoming an active member in this game.
A potential conflict of interest. And now there's been a huge backlash online, of course. There was the campaign, the American Censorship Day campaign, says over 1 million Americans emailed Congress to say that they didn't like this law. The list of firms opposing SOPA is long. Google, Facebook, Twitter, Zynga, eBay, I can go on. And then there's sites like Tumblr who've carried out these sort of acts of self-censorship to show their opposition.
Well, while the web community gets all excited saying they're being very politically active, at the end of the day, these laws pass in part because the apathy of the American people cannot be overstated. The vast majority of Americans are not paying attention. The vast majority of Americans are so politically illiterate, they don't understand what's happening. So at the end of the day, you have these small minorities of active, internet militants who are very much being engaged in these laws, but, I don't think that necessarily changes the bigger picture of American political activism.
But how could this law affect the average American web user?
It could affect in lots of different ways. A lot of these sites that are so-called pirate sites, or as the industry calls it, rogue sites, do not only traffic in pirated information, or they may not traffic in pirated information at all, and they may be shut. There is very, very little course for due process here, and that's really one of the big complaints about it. People who are accused of repeated violations could be banned from the internet. People who also could not have access to their favorite sites, the search engines could raise their prices because they're going to tell you, the cable operators who give you internet service are going to tell you it costs them more to do this monitoring. This is really a page right out of the Chinese and the Iranian book, and it should look very familiar to people living in authoritarian states.
And it's not just happening in the United States either, is it? Here in France, we have the Hadopi law, which is, of course, 3 strikes and you're out if you're found downloading copyrighted material. And Nicolas Sarkozy is saying version 3 could be extended to streaming. Well,
here you go. And this is really, as I said, the end of the open internet era. We're seeing, and again, some countries it's for political reasons. In Western Europe and in the United States, it's more for corporate reasons.
And that SOPA law in the United States is set to go for House debate in mid-December. Stay with us, Test 24's next. Now, you need one for your TV, you need one for your hi-fi, you need one for your cable box, you need one for your DVD player. Eric is going to tell us how to cut down on all our household clutter by explaining how you turn your mobile phone into a remote control.
You thought your phone was for talking, and even we thought maybe for gaming. Well, the phones are moving far beyond the traditional uses of them, now to remote controls. Now, there's some fun remote control ideas which we'll show you, and then there's some more serious ones, and we'll get to that later. Let's first start with games, remote control, helicopters, cars, all sorts of devices. So this is, see, I'm already having problems with this.
Around.
Okay, so this is a normal Samsung Galaxy X2 and S2, and so now it looks like a video game controller right here. I'm actually going to try and make this helicopter rise. You will start to see what I think are some of the shortcomings of this.
Oh, we
Hold on.
saw that coming, didn't we?
There we go. Oh, no. Okay.
Crashed and burned.
One of the problems with this particular helicopter that comes from Biwi in Marseille, France, very low battery. That was what made that go up. The batteries burn out very quickly. It also burns out your battery on your phone. Biwi also makes a little mini Cooper here that you can drive around, which my son would absolutely love. But it really shows you the integration of the phone into things that, again, we had never dreamed that phones would ever be able to control.
And they use Bluetooth, is that right?
They use Bluetooth, not infrared, so it oftentimes has a stronger signal if you're up to close space. Bluetooth works about 10 to 15
meters,
yeah, 10 to 15 meters is what it works. You know, you get to that 15-meter range and you're going to start to wear down again.
And they cost €60.
This is pretty low cost,
present.
but at the same time, there are much more expensive versions of these helicopters and cars that have a lot more functionality. They've got cameras in them. Some you can actually
It's off again.
You can actually put your camera in, and you put your phone in, and you can actually see, record the video from that. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with them. This is a very, very base model version of it.
And you need to obviously download an application.
You need to download the app. Bear in mind, it does burn out lots.
It's going again.
You could burn out your battery very, very quickly with a lot of these games, but they do look like video game screens, and that's what's kind of fun about it. For those of us who enjoy our Xboxes and the game stations and the game players, this actually brings it off to a whole nother world.
Tell us about the serious applications. So, for instance, in health.
There's a growing use in health for monitoring sufferers of pancreatic diseases, pancreatic cancer, for example, also diabetes sufferers. These are good devices in order to monitor sugar levels and other bodily fluids and bodily levels, which are very difficult to monitor or expensive to monitor, and also the convenience of having this with you all the time is one of the main advantages of it. We're also seeing it in commercial applications, which we haven't seen before, using NFC, near-field communications. You've been to the airport, you're seeing people now with their boarding passes scanning those on, and for secure IDs as well.
And for energy consumption,
and for energy, and also for vehicles now. They're integrating this in with cars, so you can see your battery life on your car. Also, you can see a lot of the other tools you can control on your vehicle as well. So a lot of applications far beyond games and far beyond telecommunications are now being used into a smartphone.
And those iPancreum applications you were talking about earlier are available to our viewers as well. They're free from app stores at the moment. Many thanks to you, Eric Olander, for being with us. Thank you for watching this edition of Tech24. It's great to see so many of you going to our Facebook page and commenting on what we've been posting there. The address, if you're not yet a fan, is facebook.com/Tech24. Now, we're going to leave you with what's become this week's most searched for song in India. Why This Kolaveri D, meaning Why This Deadly Rage Girl, sung by Danush, is written in Tanglish. That's a mixture of Tamil and English. It's been watched nearly 6 million times on YouTube, and you can catch it in a new Tamil film called 3. See you again next week on Tech24.
White